Well, welcome to our October edition of Let's Get Growing, and many things are happening in the fall and we roll right into winter. So let's get growing. And let's start out by, unfortunately, the grass will probably still be growing, so we'll still be mowing. And we're going to mow once a week. And then we're going to want to hand water those newly planted areas and our annuals because they're going to need a little bit more water. But your shrubs, your grass are going to be going just a little bit longer in between those waterings as the night temperature reduces, because grass grows at night like your hair. And so we're going to start by pruning out all dead or diseased wood in our trees and shrubs. Don't do any major pruning of your shrubs, shearing them, because that's going to cause a flush of growth that won't harden off before it freezes. But remove any dead or diseased wood at this time. It's going to be the end of our summer annuals, but don't feel down and out because we're going to go in with some of our winter annuals. But remove those old annuals, add them to the compost pile, and prepare your soil for those cool season annuals. And instead of annuals, why not divide those perennial daylilies, etc. that we have and move them into those annual areas so that we're not having to spend that money on replacing the annuals every year. But when you have all those extra perennials, share with a friend. In addition, this is when we're going to start planting all those cool season crops, such as trees, shrubs, spring blooming perennials, and cool season annuals, such as pansies, kale, etc. In addition, wildflowers, and remember to put those in an obscure area, not in the front yard, because you're going to want them to go to seed and they'll look ratty for a period, and in the front yard they could become a code violation. And then add those fallen leaves, the spent annuals that we pulled, even those dead limbs and branches that you're taking off the tree become part of the compost pile. But last but not the least, feed the birds. They need our help. Well, welcome to our November edition of Let's Get Growing, and we're going to keep on growing by mowing regularly. Remember, this is so important this time of year. Now, once again, water the dry areas. We're going to need to water a little bit in between those rains. Remember, we get 2 rainfall events in the spring and in the fall. So this is going to help us build that root system that'll make it through the winter. You're going to remove dead or diseased wood from the trees and shrubs weekly. We talked about that in October, but in November you can start that major pruning of trees. One caution: if you have to get off the ground on a ladder, you shouldn't have a chainsaw in your hand. Call a professional. In November, we can also start our major plantings of trees, shrubs, and our cool season annuals. Now, planting trees and shrubs at this time has so many benefits. First of all, they're on sale because the nurseries don't want to hold them over. Second of all, it's cooler and we're not going to kill ourselves in the heat. But third, they will build a root system during the winter and take off for vigorous growth in the spring. Now, we planted some pansies and annuals in October. It's November. We're seeing that second stage of growth, which is the second set of leaves, so we want to fertilize those. Now, last but not least, we want to once again feed the birds because they're going to help us keep our insects down during the summer. We always talk about, or I talk about, cuttings and how it's very easy to procreate or make new plants out of cuttings we made off the plants. And so we're just going to take a Ziploc baggie and fill it with some sterile soil. This just came out of the out of the bag. And then you get it moist enough to where it will hold together, but not sopping wet. We're looking at, this is Burford holly, and we're checking. Oh, it just bends. So we come down, remove that top. I'm just pinching out to a leaf node. See how I've left the 2 leaves on either side. And now I'm going down. And you want your cuttings to be about 3 inches long. And I'm going to once again strip off these bottom leaves. That's because this part of the cutting is going to go into the soil. If we leave the leaves on, they will rot off and cause a fungus. So we take the baggie and open it up. Make sure that the soil is firm. Stick your cutting in the middle of the baggie. We put another cutting in. The leaves can touch each other. Stick it to the bottom of the bag. Now here's your tricky part. Zip it shut, because it's now become a baggy terrarium. Blow it full of air. And now you have your terrarium to grow cuttings. And you can take this and set it on your windowsill, and it will root. When you see new leaves, you can pull it out and see if it has a quarter-size root ball, and if it does, it's ready to be repotted. So now we've made some shrubbery cuttings. Let's see what we can do with some of our perennial color. This is Salvia gregorii, and you can see it growing in our flower beds right over here on the corner of the greenhouse. And it's really easy. We're just going to go down to where we don't see any green leaves. The green leaves start, and we break out the dead. We're going to remove the flowers, and as we remove them, we're trying to go back to a leaf node, and that's where 2 leaves come out. Stripping off the extra foliage. Open it up. Remember, our soil is moist but not soggy. We firm it. Take our cuttings, stick them in, blow it full of air, and set it aside. This is what we call lantana, and everyone loves lantana. But once again, cut off the old flower blooms. Old blooms come off. Old leaves. And we have lantana. Placing it into the media. Nice and secure. And filling the terrarium with air. And now we have lantana, salvia, and hawthorn. Well, that's a wrap on another fall edition of Let's Get Growing, and I'm so excited because as we roll into winter, we have a whole new list of items for you to take care of in the landscape, because our little bit of work right now will make spring so beautiful. Look forward to our next show, and remember, grow on!